Hey everyone, it's Bob Perkins from Inside Sales Studio with the AA-ISP, and we're back for an interview series here. As you can see, I'm not in my normal studio, but I've been traveling via motorhome across the country as part of the summer sales tour. Well, today it's a pleasure to have with us Matt Mayberry. Matt, how are you doing today?
Doing great, Bob. Thanks so much for having me.
It's really our pleasure. And, you know, Matt is a former NFL player, and he's actually participated as a motivational speaker in a few of the AA-ISP conferences. It's been a while since we last talked, and, you know, Matt speaks about overcoming failure. And I know even in his own life, he's had some personal challenges that he's overcome. So today we're going to, Matt, if it's okay with you, we're going to tap into, you know, some of the tips you can share with the viewers around overcoming odds or overcoming failure.
Sure.
And before we do that, why don't you just give a brief background, a little bit about your story.
Yeah, you know, as Bob mentioned, I'm a former NFL player. I, had the great fortune to play for my hometown team right here in Chicago, Illinois, playing for the Chicago Bears. I ended up getting hurt my very first game in the NFL, as which all of that's part of my, story. I reached my dream that I had since I was 6 years old of getting the opportunity to play in the NFL. And then boom, just like that, in the blink of an eye, I get hurt. I'm out for 9 months, depressed, miserable. I don't know where my life is headed. And that's kind of when, I truly discovered the power of failure. Even though that I couldn't control the injury, I realized that, I could use this opportunity to get better and grow. And ultimately, it was such a blessing in disguise, which it led me to the work that I do now, as a professional speaker and author. I have a book coming out called Winning Place, September 6th it releases. So it truly was getting injured, a blessing in disguise, and now I get to write and speak all over the world.
Well, it's it's been great having you at some of the AA-ISP events, and I'm sure we will in the future as well. You have a fantastic story. Let's talk a little bit about sales professionals, whether it's a frontline rep that's got a quota or a monthly goal they got to meet, or even a sales leader that has a goal for an entire team. It's not uncommon in our business, as you know, Matt, to miss quotas. And oftentimes reps are under a lot of pressure to make it for the next quarter or, hit their quotas. So talk to us a little bit about, if you can, in the context of people that have goals like that maybe they miss a couple months in a row, and they're down and out and they need to get back up and get at it again.
Absolutely. I think first and foremost, Bob, is, I know when I spoke with you guys and really sales organizations that I speak to all over the world, I think speaking to sales reps is probably one of my favorite audiences to speak to. And I think the similarities between a professional athlete and sales professionals is extraordinarily similar. The reason is you're going to be told no more than yes, more than likely. You're going to get knocked down. You're going to have to persevere. You're going to have to get better and grow. And ultimately, you're just going to have to keep fighting every single day. So a lot of those key similarities, translate over into, the professional athlete world. But I think one of the most important things you can do as a sales rep, and really any professional, is redefine what failure means for you. I think so many people, they might not hit a quota, they might fail, they might get knocked down, but they let that event paralyze them from growing and getting better and ultimately moving forward. So I think the first thing you have to do is redefine what failure means. The best of the best, whether it's the best salespeople, the best athletes, the best leaders, whatever it is, they view failure as a learning opportunity to grow and get better. So I think that's the very first step in the process of getting better as a sales professional.
That's a really good point. I've seen in my career sales reps that, they miss a quarter, they're under the gun, and they think, they almost think they're not any good, right? Or they don't belong in sales. So what you're saying is, if I'm hearing you correctly, you're almost saying it's okay to fail, and in fact, it's expected that you're going to fail at some point.
Absolutely. I think, I actually spoke to a sales organization last year, and actually the leadership within that organization, they actually rewarded, we think of most sales reps getting rewarded for the most sales. This organization actually rewarded sales reps for getting the most no's before 9 a.m. in the morning.
I love it.
So I think it's really helping your sales reps, and not only sales reps, but anybody, from any walk of life, in this instance, sales professionals, it's really, forcing yourself to see the positive in failure. I mean, Abraham Lincoln, Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, the list goes on and on and on of extraordinary achievers that really, truly viewed failure as a positive event, which ultimately helped them to move forward and do, phenomenal things in the world.
That's good. So redefine, or the definition, or what failure is, and what it means to you in your particular profession. In sales, it may be missing your quota in a month or in a quarter. So let's talk a little bit about what you need to do to sort of pick yourself up and start working at those goals again. And I know, having spoken with you after your injury in football, you were down and out. So share some things you did that the viewers here might be able to do in their own lives.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the first things I think you do is, you always hear me say is association is everything. You are who you hang out with. So I think as a sales professional, do whatever you can to get around those top performers, those people that are crushing their goals, that are far exceeding their quotas, doing phenomenal things. Find out what they're doing every single day. What are their habits? What are they doing differently than you? What does their sales presentation look like that you can implement into your own sales presentation? I think going deep and finding out what the top performers are doing and then being able to implement that into your own routine. I mean, listen, success leaves clues, Bob. So the more you can get around high achievers and implement those things into your own life and your own performance, you will start to see those same results in your own life.
That's great. There's a good friend of mine, a gentleman that some of the viewers may know, Steve Richard. In fact, Matt, you may have met Steve at one of our conferences, but Steve tells of a story. He was close to being let go at a company because his sales were so poor. And what he did, exactly what you said. He went to the very best performer and said, can I sit with you? Can I learn from you? Can you give me some tips on what I need to do? He emulated some of those tips, and then he went on to have an outstanding next couple of years with this company.
Yeah, you'll actually be pretty surprised. I think a lot of people will look at a top performer and be like, he doesn't want to talk to me, or
right.
But you'll be pretty surprised that people doing it at a high level, they want to help. They want to help you get better, and I think that's for every industry. Even for me, when I first started as an author and speaker, I had no idea about the industry, about how to get better, or what I should be doing. But little did I know, I made that first courageous step to reach out to the top performers, and they wanted to help me. Some didn't respond. Some said they were too busy. But there were a few that drastically helped my development and getting better as a writer and speaker.
It's fantastic. So, Matt, you mentioned about a book coming out. I'm very curious about that. Can you talk to the viewers? Yeah. You showed it there. Hold it up. Great. Tell us a little bit about what the book talks about.
Yeah, so it's called Winning Plays, Tackling Adversity and Achieving Success in Business and in Life. Throughout the book, it's a very unique book. I think it's very different from your traditional business book because it's written in a very narrative nonfiction format. So I include my story. I won't go into it, too in depth here in this interview, but I'm a former teenage drug addict that was told at 16 years old I'd either be dead or in prison by my 18th birthday. And then I had a great career in college to not getting drafted in the NFL when I had my hopes and dreams, to get projected in the third or fourth round. And then it tails back to my injury when I got hurt, which I previously mentioned when Bob introduced me, which is, my whole world came crashing down on me. I was depressed and miserable. And, I didn't necessarily think about committing suicide, but I did think about how wonderful it would have been to just be dead and not experience this. So the book is, I tell my story, but I teach within that story. And then I have some scientific research and other examples, all throughout the book about how can we tackle adversity and ultimately turn it into a gift, right? Because I think it's a lot more than just overcoming adversity. How do you truly turn that failure, that adversity, that hardship into a gift and set yourself up for bigger success because of it?
That's great. And we've heard the story. Those that heard you at some of the AA-ISP conferences, I know, gained a lot of insight. So we appreciate you and what you do, especially as you help our community. Tell us just a little bit, Matt, about your business, your speaking business. What are you up to these days? Where are you headed?
Yeah, I'm headed all over the world now. It's with the book releasing, I'll be very busy. I think on this year, I think we'll be on the road. I think 240 days out of the year.
Wow.
So out of 365, and it's been about 7 years now. So it's been just recently. I mean, it has exploded. It took me about 3 years to get this book done. So it's a big relief for me to get this done, but I'm very excited for the message within this book and the difference that it's going to make. So as far as the speaking standpoint, I'll be doing about 125 keynotes this year.
Wow.
Largely to sales organizations. I think out of that number, I think like 35 of them is in front of a sales audience. So I love spending my time in front of sales organizations and audiences, and I'll definitely be busy once this book releases.
Well, we better get out to your event coordinator and get you on our calendar, because it sounds like you're getting really filled up. But I'm sure our paths will cross again, Matt.
Absolutely.
And when does the book formally launch, where people can actually go out and buy it?
It formally launches September 6th, and you can get it on Amazon, or it's available wherever books are sold. So your local Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, some airports will have it. So wherever books are sold, September 6th. Winning Plays, Tackling Adversity and Achieving Success in Business and in Life.
Fantastic. I look forward to reading it myself. And Matt, thanks again for joining us today for this interview. Thanks for sharing your story. It's a great story. It's an inspirational story. I know it's helping change lives. So thanks
so
again.
Much, Bob. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much. Thanks for all you do as well.
No, you bet. This is Bob Perkins signing off from AA-ISP's Inside Sales Studio. Make sure you tune in to next week's Monday Morning Sales Minute. Until next time, everyone, thanks a lot. Good selling. Bye-bye.